Hey, what's going on? It's that time for Word of the Day, Wednesday. Come on, somebody. Hope you guys are fired up for life, to tackle this day. Just want to always encourage you guys, give you something to ponder, to meditate on, pray about as you go about your busy week on this hump day. Hey, what's going on, Chris? I see you. Got the chance to join live. But anyways, going through the Gospels right now in our Wednesday men's Bible study, which is seriously so freaking amazing. I love spending time with these guys and, man, just digging into, the Word, and it's just so good. Man, the Bible is so freaking good and will give you really good foundations to build your life on. So today, come across one of my favorite pictures of Jesus in the Bible. It's actually the time where he's clearing out the temple. Man, if you ever had a picture Bible, you see Jesus with like a whip, and flipping tables over and stuff like that. And it's just this crazy picture of like, oh shoot, this is Jesus meek and mild, but he's going buck wild, And so I thought I'd dig into this a little bit. So it's found in, 3 of the Gospels, in Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And it starts off, it says, on reaching Jerusalem, Jesus entered the temple area and began driving out all of those who were buying and selling there. So pause right there. In that temple area was typically the only place that the Gentiles, which, if you're new to the Bible, the Gentiles were basically any non-Jewish people. If they wanted to worship God, that's the only place that they could go, because to go inside like the sanctuary and, the other places of the temple, the Gentiles were not allowed. So this is, kind of messed up that, these people, these religious leaders were kind of doing this marketplace. If you imagine how loud a marketplace would be, in the only place that the Gentiles, these non-Jewish people, could worship, could pray, So can you imagine, man, trying to, pray, and, man, you got this loud bazaar, another word for a market going on, right? So this is what, man, made Jesus indignant, And so next verse, it says, he overturned the tables of money changers and the benches of those selling doves, and would not allow anyone to carry merchandise through the temple courts. And, actually, I'll keep reading on and I'll come back. He said, and as he taught them, he said, is it not written, my house will be called a house of prayer for all nations, right? Speaking to that, this is like the whole Gentile, worship area. But you have made it a den of robbers, right? And so I always thought that den of robbers was like, people are, kind of going through. It's a marketplace. There's probably pickpocketers, doing their thing. And so that's why it's called a den of robbers. But actually, when you look at how they did this whole money changing thing, they made it mandatory that you can only spend shekels in the temple. And so these people that would come from out of town would come in with like denarii or something like that, and they would actually have to exchange money in order to give like their offerings, or pay for animals to sacrifice, or different things like that. And so they would inflate the exchange of money as kind of like a taking advantage, and so that's why, he's kind of talking about the den of robbers. But basically the point that I wanted to drive home from this is, man, how passionate Jesus is in this moment. And, man, to bring about change, man, it typically needs to be a strong catalyst, right? Man, Jesus could have totally came up in here and said, hey, public service announcement, like, you shouldn't be doing this in the temple, right? But no, what did he have to do? He had to come and, man, flip over a table and make a, kind of a ruckus. And, man, it's because he was so passionate. But he had to disrupt the natural flow of things in order to kind of bring some alarm, and he had to make this alarming motion in this stance, because this is how alarming this practice was. Right? When there's things that are alarming, it's like, man, you gotta, man, not just, hey, tap somebody on the shoulder, like, hey, you mind if you not do this, man. Sometimes, man, you gotta be like Jesus and actually, man, flip over a table, And so to bring it home, to bring it to application, if Jesus showed up in my temple, right, in my life, man, what tables would he flip over? Right? I want you to ask yourself that question. What tables would he flip over in your life? Maybe it's, man, some bitterness or some unforgiveness. And it's like, no, this cannot be here. This is supposed to be a house of prayer. This is supposed to be a house of dwelling the Holy Spirit in this temple in my life. And so this unforgiveness, this bitterness cannot be here. Right? Or maybe, man, you are in a relationship and it's just not the sanctified, holy, or whatever the case may be. Man, what table would Jesus flip over, like, in your relationship? Are you, man, being abusive, mentally, emotionally, or, using your words to harm rather than help? Take introspect and reflect. If my life was a temple and Jesus came through, is there any tables that he will flip over, right? Is it how I handle money, or how I handle, my children, or, how I handle conflict, how I'm relating at my job, or maybe clocking in but not working, or whatever the case may be? Is there anything that, man, would kind of put a bad taste in Jesus's mouth if he showed up to my life, if it was a temple? So I want you guys to answer that question for yourselves and meditate and reflect on that. That's all I got for you today. Word of the Day Wednesday. I went over, man, I like these to be around 5 minutes, but hopefully, man, you get something out of asking that question to yourself. You guys have a great day, all right?